Baisha Pacherera Joyce. Hello, everybody. This is Joice Mendez. I'm part of the UN Secretary General Advisor Group for Climate Change and Youth. And today I'm here with Saroj Kumar Jha, who is an expert on water sector for the World Bank Group. And I'm very excited to have this opportunity to talk to you. How are you doing? How are you finding yourself during the COP?
Joyce, first of all, very happy to be with you here. This is my third COP, very excited because water is very visibly in every engagement that we had here. And I'm very happy to see how water is being seen as the engine of climate adaptation.
Yeah, so here we are at the World Bank Pavilion, and also I see a lot of activities are happening. So basically, what do you see regarding like water commitments, water action as well for this COP28? What do you think is the most important part we need to achieve as well during COP28?
I think the most important outcome that we expect from this COP is much greater understanding that water crisis is essentially exacerbated by the climate change. And solution to climate change has to come also from managing water resources better. So good water resource management is the most important climate adaptation action that one can take. And in our conversations here, I find that the country delegations, the international organizations, there is very high level of awareness that water has to be part of the climate adaptation plans at the country level.
Exactly.
It also has to be part of the mitigation plans because water sector, particularly irrigation, sanitation, is responsible for a lot of greenhouse gases emissions. So water has to be very much central to our climate agenda.
Exactly. So you see where I'm from. I'm from the border of Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina. So it's all about water. We have transboundary rivers. We have an aquifer, and also we are very impacted about the water crisis, especially for energy production, food production, and even water security. So, as a young person, I also like to ask, how do you envision youth youth action into these commitments, into climate mitigation, adaptation, and resilience? How do you envision our work?
You know, water is a global challenge, but water is a local issue. It impacts every household, every person on the ground, no matter where you live in any part of the world. So
Exactly.
you cannot achieve water security without communities getting involved, young people getting involved, young people being champions of water, because we have plenty of water in the world, but we are not managing it well. And I think when it comes to conservation, when it comes to better management, when it comes to preventing losses, when it comes to ensuring that our rivers don't become dirty,
Exactly.
it's important that the young people are engaged. And this is something that the World Bank is promoting on a very big scale, where we work with young people at the country level but also globally, so that they understand how water is so important for life, for economy, for agriculture, for planet. So young people have a very important role to play. The other dimension of this is, since you come from Paraguay and you talked about the transboundary issues,
Yes.
more than 60% of international water is international water, either groundwater or aquifers which run across
Exactly.
multiple countries. So you cannot manage water unless countries come together and collaborate. And it's not just between governments, it's also between communities
Exactly.
who are in the same river basin, but in two different countries.
Exactly.
So more cooperation at from people to people level is extremely important as part of the whole collaborative, cooperative water resource management. And because of this, the World Bank is putting very strong emphasis as part of the water security and climate adaptation agenda to prioritize transboundary water cooperation. We recently set up a global facility for transboundary water cooperation
Yeah.
to really provide the best practice, engage communities, create opportunities for countries to talk to each other, because more dialogue is the starting point in building cooperation and building
Exactly.
peace.
Sometimes we think, right, that integration or transboundary projects are merely infrastructure, but sometimes, it's a dialogue, it's a conversation, cooperation. Even though you have different languages, perspectives, is the same challenge. And I live that in my region. I mean, we were like, the Brazilian youth was separated from the Paraguayan youth. So we created a transboundary water movement, the first one. And it was funny because we were just having the same situations, different names, And even we were speaking in Portuguese, Spanish, Portuguese, it's some indigenous language. And we became a reference for the region. And nowadays we have youth that are working with one country to the other and cooperating. So I'm really happy to see what the World Bank is doing regarding water and also climate resilience in especially transboundary areas. So perhaps also I would like to know, what do you describe as well the feeling about COP, kind of in a word, and perhaps what is kind of the pathway that we also will have to follow as governments, industry, but also for youth? What is, the take-home kind of message after COP?
Well, clearly in this COP, I'm observing a much greater sense of urgency along with ambition on action.
Yes.
And I think that urgency is about the need to reach a point of a planet where the warming does not get worse. The planet is warming. So I think how do you really minimize the emission? How do you focus on adaptation? Exactly. And how do we intensify action on this in terms of financing, in terms of knowledge, in terms of capacity? So clearly exactly. I can see the focus on implementation action, and which is where the World Bank comes in, because we are able to scale up and provide more financing to the countries. We are also able to bring expertise, we are able to bring knowledge, but we also want to work in a partnership with not just the governments, but other international organizations, but also young people like you, so that we really understand. And much of what I was describing about work in water is learning from the experiences of people like you, to see how do we really focus on transboundary water cooperation. How do we create platform for young people in the river basin in different countries to talk to each other? So clearly, this COP, in my view, is a watershed moment in water security.
Yes, yes. And I think that besides that, I think what we're doing is international dialogue, right? You were commenting you have more than 30 years of experience, and some of us, we just have like 5 years in the sector. So I think this is fundamental to understand experience, but also to have these innovative perspectives, because we have new challenges. And I'm really happy to see, as well, young professionals at the World Bank. And
yes.
I mean, we will let young people know as well they can have a career opportunity at the World Bank in the water sector,
we are more than happy to really engage and talk to young people, but also invite young people to work for the World Bank.
Super.
We have recruitment programs, we hire professionals, and we really need professionals who have the passion, who have the understanding of the subject to come and work with us. So you're very welcome to work.
Super, that's well said. So it is an invitation for intergenerational dialogue action. And so I just want to thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Muito obrigada, muchas gracias, Aguille, for this space.
Thank you.